Just one three-letter text, hey, and your heart stops like a sudden punch to the chest. Have you ever experienced that? You finally feel free, confident in your newly drawn boundaries, and then your ex's text hits your inbox like a tornado. Hey! Suddenly, you're like a deer in headlights, dazed, confused, unsure whether to respond or stay silent. It's a feeling you thought you had conquered. The longing, the fragile hope, and the crushing letdown. Why does a single ping awaken that old addiction? Why do you instantly forget every rational defense and the moment you proudly said no until you see, hey, in our fast-paced world, we pride ourselves on independence and solid barriers against emotional upheaval. Yet when an avoidant ex reappears, we discover we're still craving a connection we believed long buried. Psychologists liken this scenario to a dopamine addiction. Each text triggers a want more response, even when we know it will hurt. In the following sections, you'll uncover why a simple text can revive your old addiction, how to recognize that reaction and avoid the cycle of hope, disappointment, strategies to maintain your boundaries and lean on your personal values for clear decisions. If you've ever felt powerless at the ping of hey, if you fear that one more message will shatter all your progress, don't miss this. This article not only explains the addictive dynamics in avoidant relationships, but also equips you with the self-mastery to calmly choose your next move every time hey appears on your screen. The moment your phone lights up with their name, your heart jumps a reflex identical to a junkie stepping into their favorite bar. Just one three-letter text, hey, triggers a powerful pleasure-seeking response deeply wired into your brain. You instantly recall the sweet moments, the safety and satisfaction you once shared, all the reasons you parted endless arguments, the hurts inflicted, the emotional walls vanish in an instant, replaced by an urgent craving to take another hit of that past affection. You forget the resolve that once declared, I'm strong enough to walk away, and suddenly you're scrambling to reply, to reignite the connection that had been severed. This addiction mechanism is not genuine love, but a survival reaction of the brain chasing a dopamine rush each time you see their name. Your mind issues a command, opportunity for pleasure, engage immediately. You barely pause to remember why two of you had to break up in the first place, or that creating distance was meant to protect your heart. Instead, your fingers fly over the keys to send a response representing a silent promise. This time, I won't make the same mistakes. When that text arrives, many people rush into mental scripts. What if they've changed? What if now is different? Just reply and see. Your mind races with questions, but there's no space left to consult your mental checklist of things not to forget. The list that once reminded you, they lie. I was tired of waiting. Our values clashed. Instead, you feel a void that must be filled, and you dive headfirst into replying as if feeding an insatiable hunger for emotional validation. Every keystroke is a bid to recreate that fleeting euphoria. Yet this addiction response clouds your judgment. Those few seconds before hitting send stretch into an agony of anticipation. Your heart races, your hands tremble. You might reopen old wounds, yet the addiction drives you onward. It's like an alcoholic who, despite knowing that one more drink will lead to headache and self-destruction, cannot resist the promise of that initial buzz. Similarly, your nostalgia for happy times blinds you to past hurts and drives you to chase a quick fix. Despite the potential fallout, the sensation of being seen again in that simple hey lights up the brain's pleasure centers. Much like the scent of morning coffee jolts you awake. But unlike coffee's gentle wake-up, this rush drags you into the cycle of hope and disappointment because every reply you send may not elicit the reciprocation you want. And still, you plunge in, searching for reconnection, even though you vowed not to. To break free, you must clearly recognize, I'm being triggered. This is a dopamine hit, not true love. In that moment of awareness, you can pause, refuse to hit send, and ask yourself, why do I crave a reply? What outcome am I seeking? You'll discover the real reason. It's not that they've changed, but that you're starving to fill an emotional void. Recognizing this, you can reinforce your boundaries. Not replying preserves your emotional health over the fleeting high. In choosing not to feed that addiction, you unleash your inner strength. You'll see your boundaries hold firm, and you can direct your focus toward healthier connections, ones that don't depend on transient dopamine hits. Only by standing firm against this emotional addiction can you move on to the next phase, identifying the cycle of hope and disappointment, and ultimately building lasting self-mastery and genuine happiness. Right after you manage to resist that dopamine hit, you tumble into the cycle of hope, waiting, disappointment. The instant you read, "Hey, your old belief resurfaces. Maybe they've truly changed this time. There must be something new they need to tell me." You reassure yourself, picturing warm meetups, sincere apologies, a renewed relationship built on lessons learned. In your mind, you script positive scenarios. They'll commit to no more silence. They'll own up to past mistakes. They'll stand by you. You reply. Your heart lifts, eagerly awaiting a thoughtful response. Just an emoji would keep you smiling all day. But as days pass, those slender promises vanish. No calls as agreed. No long conversations. Just fleeting texts or deep silence again. That absence pushes you into disappointment. Disappointment that you believed once more, that you softened again. And that disappointment then leads you to question, was I too naive? Am I fantasizing about something that will never be real? Each flicker of hope compels you to invest more energy, more time, more emotion, only to have renewed disappointment deepen your inner void. This psychology stems from the brain's incentive salience mechanism. The more you crave emotional connection, the stronger your brain's craving signals grow. When unmet, they hit you with an intensified sense of lack. You may spend hours replaying old voice notes, chasing that feeling of warmth, or watching for the dreaded typing or scene notification. Every scene without reply lands like a heavy blow to your hope, leaving you feeling drained and questioning, where did I go wrong? Yet this hope, waiting, disappointment cycle isn't just an emotional roller coaster. It's an avoidance hidden tactic. They drop occasional breadcrumbs to keep you from leaving completely, then pull back to rebuild their safe distance. Once you're too worn out, they reach out again, triggering your dopamine hunger, and the hope-disappointment loop spins anew. Each time, the boundaries you built crumble. Your resolve to stay closed wavers, and you get lost again in a haze of conflicted feelings. To break free, you must clearly recognize that your hope is fueled not by genuine change, but by short-lived teasers. Instead of chasing every bit of care, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is there real evidence that they've worked on themselves? Are there concrete actions showing sustained commitment? If not, you're reinvesting in a hope trap where you feed your brain's temporary dopamine need. The next step is to apply your own values test. Whenever a message arrives, recall your core values: honesty, respect, consistency, commitment. Ask, does this text align with those values? Will responding honor my own worth? If the answer is no, craft a brief reply or choose silence. Then close your phone and do something nurturing for yourself. Go for a walk, read a book, see friends. This way, each flicker of hope is neutralized before it morphs into disappointment. Only when you dare to confront and dismantle the hope-disappointment cycle can you reclaim inner peace and self-mastery. This also prepares you for the final phase of your journey, responding in relationships, not with vague hope, but with actions that prove genuine value and commitment. So every step forward in future connections is a sure move, not a stumble back into disappointment. Once you fully recognize the addiction mechanism and the cycle of hope, disappointment, the crucial next step is the boundary-keeping solution to protect yourself from emotional addiction and avoid repeating past mistakes. Remind yourself you're addicted. Whenever your phone buzzes with a message from your ex, consciously affirm, I'm being triggered by a connection addiction, acknowledging that this isn't mere missing them, but a dopamine craving helps you avoid self-deception. This awareness acts like a filter before you act, You'll think more clearly and not let emotions blindly control you. Reply briefly or don't reply at all. If you choose to respond, keep it minimal. For instance, thanks, I'm okay. Or send a single emoji without words. If you're not ready, don't hesitate to stay silent. Each time you refuse to reinvest emotionally, you reinforce a safe boundary. You owe them no lengthy explanations, nor do you need to struggle to say the right thing. Lean on your core values. Before replying, weigh that message against your values: honesty, consistency, respect. Ask yourself, does this message honor those values? If the answer is no, it's a clear sign to remain silent or respond briefly. Your inner values become the compass, guiding you to wise decisions and helping you maintain self-respect. Applying these 3 steps together fortifies you against emotional addiction. You not only block dependence on dopamine hits, but also nurture self-mastery, respect, and emotional safety. When your boundaries hold strong, you can truly move beyond the past and embrace a future unhindered by the cycle of hope and disappointment. Once you've firmly maintained your boundaries and resisted the emotional craving, the next key insight is the avoidance responsibility. They're not merely victims of avoidance behavior, they're also addicted to emotional freedom, craving boundless space without commitment, yet terrified of any true engagement. When they suddenly text you, it's not necessarily a sign they're ready for a healthy relationship. Rather, it's a test, an opportunity to check if you're still there and to confirm they can still pull back unscathed. Avoidants often haven't done the inner work required. They haven't faced their pain, taken responsibility for their withdrawal patterns, or learned how to sustain deep commitments. Their "hey" message then is akin to a casual stroll in a comfort zone. You respond, they retreat. You hope, they go silent. Remember, every time they appear, it's a trial run for their own freedom, not evidence they're prepared for long-term partnership. Therefore, when you receive a message from an avoidant ex, don't set yourself up for expecting profound change. Their text does not mean they have worked on themselves, healed old wounds, or are genuinely ready to commit. That responsibility lies squarely with them. They must confront their fears, own their behaviors, and prove it through actions, candid conversations, consistent small commitments, and reliable presence. Until you see real proof, any "hey" from them is merely a test, and you have every right to remain silent or reply briefly to protect your heart. Ultimately, remember that not every "hey" text signals genuine commitment or deep change from an avoidant ex. They remain addicted to emotional freedom and have yet to do the inner work needed for lasting partnership. The addiction mechanism, the hope-disappointment cycle, and the boundary-keeping challenges are all part of an internal journey only you can undertake. No external circumstance or perfect other half can replace this self-discovery and healing work. By acknowledging your own connection, addiction, applying boundary strategies, and refusing to pin hopes on messages lacking concrete actions, you break the self-sabotage cycle. Only after fully completing these steps can your attachment system function healthily, allowing you to invest emotionally in an authentic, sustainable way. What matters most is that the power to choose lies with you, not with them. A "hey" text is merely a test, not a promise of commitment. By firmly holding your boundaries, you demonstrate respect for yourself and your core values. Each time you choose not to reply or keep your response minimal, you send a clear message. I prioritize my inner safety and won't trade my well-being for fleeting gestures. Continue to nurture your self-worth by caring for your emotions every day. Journaling, meditation, confiding in trusted friends, or seeking professional support when needed. Each small act reinforces the belief that you deserve a genuine relationship, free from the cycle of hope and disappointment. Finally, be patient with yourself. Healing and rebuilding connection doesn't happen overnight. It requires time, persistence, and courage. Every step you take, from recognizing the addiction mechanism to maintaining strong boundaries and demanding accountability, testifies to your inner strength. You can create a future not governed by dopamine hits, but guided by lasting values, honesty, respect, and true commitment.